Hey, listen!
Welcome everyone, this is Andre's Restart. And whatever happened to Super Mario Galaxy 2? We thought we might get it with 3D All-Stars, but that never happened. Could this game ever come to Nintendo Switch? Well, that's what we're talking about today. But before we jump into things, let me point out that we are aiming to hit 25,000 subscribers by the time Tears of the Kingdom comes out on May 12th. So if you do enjoy my content, please subscribe and hit the notification bell, because then we might just make it. So, I originally decided to make this video when a Jane on Twitter messaged me asking me about if maybe we could see Mario Galaxy 2 or New Super Mario Bros. Wii on Switch. He was starting to lose hope that they might be coming. And in truth, I'm not so sure they could be coming anytime soon. Mario Galaxy 2, I have some optimism, which is why we're talking about it today. When it comes to Super Mario Bros. Wii, I don't think we're going to see that particular game. And I could be wrong, but the reason why I don't think that game is going to come is because we already have New Super Mario Bros. Wii U Deluxe. Like, that game has already come, and I feel when it comes to the New Super Mario Bros. Games, they're all fairly comparable to each other. They're very cookie cutter in a way, I would say. I'm not saying they aren't good games, they are. But I don't think Nintendo sees them as something that they should have multiple versions of per system. I think when there's one, they're like, okay, that's good enough. That answers the call for a 2D kind of Mario. But when it comes to 3D Mario games, I think they tend to differentiate themselves a fair bit. Even Mario Galaxy 2 from Galaxy 1. Mario Galaxy 2 is one of the highest rated games, one of the best Nintendo games ever made. And it does things differently from Galaxy 2. It improves on a lot of the ideas of Galaxy 1. There's more variety there. They brought in Yoshi. They streamlined the linear 3D Mario gameplay. It's a quality game that stands out on its own. But when it comes to Super Mario 3D All-Stars, that compilation of 3 awesome 3D Marios that came for the Mario 35th anniversary, a lot of people thought that there should have also been Galaxy 2. I think the reasoning behind not putting in Galaxy 2 is for a few different reasons. One, that would have added more value to the game, and maybe they wouldn't be charging it for $60 if they added a 4th game, and then, time and resources. Those things matter. But also, Mario 64, Mario Sunshine, and Mario Galaxy each represent a different generation of 3D Mario. 3D All-Stars was meant as a celebration for the 35th anniversary of Mario. Having this collection is kind of like an acknowledgement of the history and evolution of the Mario series. So putting in the main 3D Mario for each generation, Nintendo 64, Nintendo GameCube, Nintendo Wii, it made sense from that perspective. So putting in Galaxy 2 in a way would have been a bit redundant. And when you consider that this was a limited release, while if you look hard enough you may be able to find a copy, Nintendo did not continue to produce this game. And what's even more interesting about this is that instead of porting each game directly for this remaster of the 3 games, they actually built an emulator where they emulated these games. And I believe the implication of that is that they may want to use this emulator for future games down the road as well. And this is what gives me hope for Mario Galaxy 2, beyond it simply being a quality Nintendo game that should be revisited at one point or another. Nintendo at some point may start to give us a lot more GameCube and Nintendo Wii games. And through this emulation, they may be able to provide quite a few of them. And I figure some of you may be thinking, are you alluding to maybe like a virtual console or an expanded Nintendo Switch Online where there's a GameCube or Wii app? I think that is possible, but knowing Nintendo and how they handle things, I wouldn't expect that necessarily anytime soon. Not on the Switch. At least not before Switch 2. Maybe on Switch 2, they open the door for some virtual console or NSO, GameCube, and Wii games. And when that happens, maybe we could see Mario Galaxy 2. I think it would be a very likely candidate to come in a platform like that. And Switch 2, I don't think is too far off. And with that in mind, I'll also say that I think Switch will still stay relevant for years to come, and may still get some of these GameCube and Wii games that could come to NSO. I think that's one avenue where we could see Mario Galaxy 2 come to Nintendo Switch. But there's another angle here, and that's that there's this belief that Nintendo's going to be bringing a number of remasters to Nintendo Switch. Emily Rogers talked about how there's a number of GameCube games on the way, but I believe this initiative or this goal to bring in a number of GameCube remasters could go beyond just GameCube games. In fact, we've already seen that. Earlier this year, in February, we saw two great remasters come to Nintendo Switch. One was Metroid Prime Remastered. That came out in February in the same week as Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe, another remaster or remake of a Kirby game from the Nintendo Wii. And there are also rumors that Nintendo may be reworking with Bandai Namco Kid Icarus Uprising. We've seen some job listings as well. Masahiro Sakurai, the creator of Kid Icarus Uprising, alluded to the idea of Kid Icarus Uprising coming to Switch, so I do think there's a good chance that's also on the way. And that's a 3DS game. Now, what's interesting about GameCube, Wii, 3DS, they all fall under a similar level of visual fidelity or graphics. They're all comparable, and with some reworkings, can be a satisfactory game on Nintendo Switch from a visual department. So it really wouldn't shock me if we saw some Nintendo Wii remasters come out on Nintendo Switch, perhaps in the lead up to Nintendo Switch 2. And while I think Nintendo Switch 2 could come out as soon as this year, there's also the grand potential of it coming out a little bit later, perhaps next year or somewhat beyond that as well. So Nintendo needs to have a plan of games to come out between now and whenever that happens, and maybe we are getting a number of remasters between now and then, not all just being for Nintendo GameCube. This could be a scenario where they could repurpose Mario Sunshine, perhaps enhance it a little bit more, or maybe they could repurpose Mario Galaxy. And if they're going to be doing games like those, we could also see them bring Mario Galaxy 2. Especially if there's not going to be a major Switch 2 system coming out this year. In other words, probably pushing off the next big 3D Mario, because I do believe that's likely going to be the launch title for Switch 2. Normally, what Nintendo does when it comes to having big launches, it's either Zelda or Mario. And if it hasn't been either of those, the launches have been kind of catastrophic. So I think Nintendo's going to probably push the next 3D Mario. We've been waiting quite a long time for that. Mario Odyssey came out in 2017, and I think they want to save that and perform really well. But because the Mario movie has come out this year, there is a huge opportunity to push out more Mario games and get a bit of a boost there. So if Switch 2 isn't coming out this year, I think 3D Mario is also not coming out this year. But I also still believe it makes sense for Nintendo to push out more Mario releases. So maybe there's something new coming from Mario that's a little bit different, maybe like a side game, maybe another 2D spin-off kind of game, something like that that could be really fun. But also maybe they go back to some prior Mario games, and considering that they've already built up an emulator that can run games like Mario Sunshine and Mario Galaxy, this could be the perfect opportunity to bring back Super Mario Galaxy 2, something that hasn't been brought to Switch yet, that might be very exciting and definitely sell pretty well. So my overall point here is that I see multiple avenues where Mario Galaxy 2 will come at some point or another. Even if it doesn't make it onto Switch within the next year or two, at some point Nintendo will come back to this game because it is one of the greatest games they've ever made, and Nintendo loves to repurpose some of their old games. So I definitely think Mario Galaxy 2 will come eventually, and I have an optimism that we could see it at some point during the Switch's life cycle. And while that may seem like it's nearing the end of its road, let's keep in mind that when Switch came out, 3DS was still relevant for a few years. Then Nintendo put a number of remasters and remakes on the 3DS before they started making games for it years into Switch's life. So even if Switch 2 does come out this year, there could be 2 or 3 more years of Switch games coming, and that could include Mario Galaxy 2. But what do you guys think? Do you believe Mario Galaxy 2 could come at some point or another? Do you have any other sort of questions or ideas that you would like to be addressed in a video like this? Let me know in the comments below. This is Andres Restart. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and I'll see you all really soon. Take care. Bye.